When I was 17, my family moved 2 states away without telling me. They left a note that said, "You'll figure it out." 12 years later, after I finally made it without them, they reached out trying to reconnect. But hold up, let me tell you the whole damn story. I came back to a completely empty home, and a note on the kitchen counter. It was the cruelest thing I've ever read. It just said, "You'll figure it out." Like, what the actual hell? I didn't know what I'd done wrong. I figured they were just tired of pretending they loved me. But the truth was, they had never even pretended. Looking back, the signs were everywhere. When I was 13, I made a birthday cake for my mom by myself, stayed up all night getting it perfect. Her response? Called it clumpy and walked away. At 15, I tutored my brother through finals, spending hours helping him pass. His thanks? Called me a know-it-all and slammed his door in my face. At 16, I gave my entire damn paycheck to my dad so he could cover bills. Later, when I brought it up after he said I was useless, he lost his shiz on me. I was always useful, but never loved. And apparently, my parents and my brother, my only family, had packed up and moved 2 states away without telling me. I found out from the landlord a week later. A freaking week. They'd cancelled the lease early, and I had 7 days to get out. I slept at a friend's house for 3 nights before I ran out of places to go. Eventually, I was sleeping in the back of a storage unit I rented with the last of my savings. Real talk, I was homeless at 17 because my own family ghosted me. I snuck in and showered at the YMCA, ate peanut butter with a spoon for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Applied for jobs on free library computers, pretended everything was okay when inside I was falling apart. The whole situation was so messed up, but I had to survive. Eventually, I got hired at a diner for the night shift. The manager was gruff, but fair, paid me cash under the table until I could get an ID. She even let me nap in the break room once, when I nearly collapsed from exhaustion. That woman saved my life, no joke. I clawed my way through it. Bought a prepaid phone, saved every single receipt, watched free YouTube tutorials on finance and goal setting. The first year was brutal, I barely survived, but I made it through. The turning point came when a regular at the diner offered me a temp job cleaning out office files. It paid triple what I made serving. Hell yes, I said yes. That job led to another and another. I learned quickly, showed up early, asked questions. By 22, I was freelancing full-time. By 25, I launched a consulting business, just me, a folding table, and a borrowed laptop. By 27, I had 5 contractors under me, my own office, and a client roster that included companies I used to dream about working for. And by 29, I was officially a millionaire. Not some fake influencer millionaire, actual savings, retirement account, no debt, paid off apartment, health insurance I could afford. The first time I saw my bank account hit 7 figures, I cried like a baby. Throughout those tough years, my family never reached out. Not even once. I saw my brother pop up in suggested friends once. He's married now, still living in the state they disappeared to. I stared at the screen for a long time, wondering if he ever told his wife about me, if he said I ran away, or if he says nothing at all. Sometimes I wonder if it would have been easier to hate them. But truthfully, it was never hate. It was heartbreak that cut so deep I thought I'd never recover. Last week, a podcast interview I did about surviving family estrangement blew up online. Hit 1 million views in 4 days. My inbox filled with messages of support, gratitude, and strangers telling me I put words to their pain. And then one email stood out, subject line, "You're still our daughter." It was from my mom. No apology, just a paragraph about hearing my side and how maybe we could talk. Then another message from my brother, "We miss you. Can we fix this?" I stared at the screen for a long time before closing the laptop. What the actual fork was happening? My therapist Melissa suggested I take at least a week before making any decisions. Give yourself space to feel whatever comes up, she said. There's no rush to respond. So I did. Focused on work, went to the gym, had dinner with friends. Normal stuff. But those emails haunted me. I kept opening them, reading them, closing them again. My mom's message felt cold, clinical, like she was reaching out to a distant acquaintance. My brother's was shorter, but somehow felt more genuine. After 10 days, I decided to reply to my brother first. Just something simple, it's been 12 years. What changed? Hit send before I could overthink it. His response came within an hour. Said the podcast made him realize what they'd done. Claimed he was only 15 when they left me, that he didn't have a choice, that he'd always wondered about me. That seeing me successful made him proud. I didn't buy it. Not completely. If he'd been so concerned, why wait until I was publicly successful? I asked him exactly that. His next email was longer. He admitted money was tight, that my parents' business had failed, that his wife was pregnant with their second child, that medical bills were piling up. There it was. The real reason. My stomach dropped. I didn't respond for another week. Then my mom sent a follow-up email with old family photos attached. Pictures of me as a baby, at the beach when I was 5 or 6, me and Michael building a snowman. Happy moments that felt like they belonged to someone else's life. At the bottom, we made mistakes. We want to make amends. When I showed the emails to Melissa, she reminded me I was in control, that I could set boundaries, that I didn't owe them anything. But she also said closure might help me move forward, whether that meant reconciliation or a final goodbye. Part of me wanted to tell them to go to hell. Another part wanted to understand why they left me. And a tiny, stupid part of me still wanted them to love me. I decided to meet my brother first. Just him. No parents. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop in Chicago, halfway between where we both lived. I almost cancelled 3 times. But at 2 p.m., I walked into that coffee shop and saw him immediately. He looked older, heavier, with a receding hairline, but his eyes were the same. The first 20 minutes were painful. Small talk about the weather, my flight, his drive. Then he started apologizing. "Emma, I'm so sorry," Michael said, his voice cracking. "I was just a kid when it happened. I didn't know they were planning to leave you behind until it was too late." I asked him the question that had haunted me for 12 years, why me? Why was I the one left behind? He looked down. "They always saw you as the strong one, the independent one. They thought you didn't need them as much as I did. They convinced themselves you'd be better off without them." What kind of bullshit reasoning was that? I told him about the storage unit, about eating peanut butter for weeks, about showering at the YMCA. His face crumpled. "I didn't know," he whispered. "They told me you had a plan, that you wanted to stay behind, that you were going to live with a friend's family. All lies." That night my mom called. I hadn't given her my number, so Michael must have. Her voice sounded older, raspier. She cried when I said hello, started talking about how proud she was of me, how she'd always known I would succeed. I let her talk herself out. Then I asked her the same question, why me? Her answer was different. "We were in debt, Emma. We couldn't afford 3 mouths to feed. We knew you were smart enough to make it on your own. We figured you'd go to social services and get placed with a better family." I hung up on her and blocked her number immediately. Threw my phone across the room and screamed into a pillow. What kind of parents abandon their child hoping social services will place them with a better family? The next morning, I had an email from my dad, first contact in 12 years. He didn't apologize. Instead, he wrote about how hard their lives had been, about medical bills and failed businesses, about how they were facing eviction. Then, at the very end, he asked if I could help the family out. Not a single question about my life, not a single acknowledgement of what they'd done. Just straight up asking for money. I forwarded the email to Melissa with the subject line, and there it is. By Monday morning, I had made my decision. I emailed my brother, told him I was glad we'd met, that I was willing to have a relationship with him and his family, but with clear boundaries. No money, no loans, no financial support of any kind, and no relationship with our parents until they took full responsibility. His response was immediate and telling. I'm really disappointed, Emma. Our parents really need help. Families should support each other. You're being selfish with your success. All the guilt buttons they'd installed in me as a child got pushed at once. I didn't respond. 3 days later, Michael called, left a voicemail apologizing, said he understood my position, that he still wanted a relationship on my terms. I listened to it twice, trying to decide if he was sincere or just changing tactics. Things escalated quickly. My parents started showing up at my building, sending flowers with threatening notes, even having what appeared to be a medical emergency in my lobby. When my mom claimed to have a heart attack, my brother blamed me for stressing her out. But the real breaking point came when I received a text with a photo of my 3-year-old niece, Lily, playing in her backyard. The message, "This isn't over yet." That's when I knew these people were dangerous. After consulting with my lawyer and getting restraining orders, I did something that surprised everyone, including myself. I reached out to my parents directly. I know you're watching my building. I know you're not going to stop. So let's talk. One last time. We met at a coffee shop. I looked at these strangers who were my parents and felt nothing. No love, no hate, just cold clarity. I didn't call this meeting to reconcile, I told them. I called it to make you understand one thing. It's over. You've lost. Not just the court case. You've lost me. Lost Michael. Lost your grandchildren. Lost any chance at being part of our lives. My dad got angry. You're ungrateful. You've always been difficult. You owe us for raising you. I actually laughed. Do you really think you're entitled to gratitude for doing the bare minimum, as a parent for 17 years before abandoning me completely? As I walked away, my mom called after me, "Do you really hate us that much?" I stopped. Turned around. I don't hate you. I feel nothing for you. You're strangers to me now. And that's your loss. Not mine. Today, Michael and his family live 20 minutes from my apartment. We have dinner every Sunday, building new traditions, new memories, a new kind of family based on choice rather than obligation. Last week was Lily's 4th birthday party. We had it at my apartment, balloons everywhere, a fancy cake, presents piled on the coffee table. At one point, I stepped into the kitchen and watched Michael swing Lily around in circles, watched Jenny laugh with friends, watched my once empty apartment fill with life and love. I thought about that note on my kitchen counter 12 years ago, "You'll figure it out." And I had. Not the way they meant, but I'd figured out what family should be, what love should look like, what I deserved all along. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever reconcile with my parents. I don't have answers to those questions yet. Maybe someday, maybe never. But what I do know is this. I'm not defined by what they did to me anymore. I'm defined by what I built after, by the person I chose to become, by the family I chose to create. And that's enough. More than enough. If you're going through something similar, know this. You don't owe anyone a relationship just because you share DNA. Family is about love, support, and choice. You deserve better. You'll figure it out, but on your own terms.